Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So it's week 13 now, so I've been going pretty good. So this week I did a lot of input setting. I got a lot of input. I was watching a lot of anime with no subtitles, and I also did a lot of work on, or as much work as I could, on making my flashcards in Anki. So. But I wanted to, since I was watching a bunch more anime this week than I had been before, I thought it would be a prudent time to talk about what animes I like and do my kind of top 5 favorite animes. At least my top 5 ones that I've watched. And so all of these on my list, let's see, yeah, all these on my list I have watched all of, with the exception of one that's, the only reason I haven't seen all of it is because it's still coming out. Like they're still making new episodes and stuff. So, yeah. So I was going to do a top 5 list of my favorite animes that I've watched. So we're going to start with number 5. There is actually a tie for number 5. So number 5 is Bleach and Knights of Shidonia. So Bleach was one of the first anime that I watched all the way through, and I've watched it twice, but the second time I watched it, I skipped a lot. I skipped a lot in the middle because the only problem that I have with Bleach is there's a lot of filler, because the anime got caught up to the point where the manga was, and instead of like waiting for the manga, waiting for the actual story, they just made up their own storyline and went with that for a little while. That's the only complaint I had, because when they got back to it, it was fine. So I really like watching that one, and that one's actually one that I'm watching right now. Is I'm rewatching Bleach. I'm on like episode 9 or something like that, because I just started this day before yesterday. So, and then Knights of Shidonia, it's a Netflix one. It wasn't. I mean, Netflix is the only one that has the rights to show it over in the United States, but that one I've watched 3 times now. It's only 2 seasons, and they're like 12 episodes per season. So, but I've watched it 3 times now. That one is a lot of fun. I really like that one. And that one they never finished. As far as I know, they've never finished it. It's just the 2 seasons. It doesn't really leave off on a cliffhanger. It could, in theory, end. I just know in the research that I've done, there's more to the story than what they showed. But it's so much fun. I absolutely love that one. The storyline's great. The characters are really fun to get into. They kind of do away with some of the like tropes of like both writing, like in novels and in movies and TV shows, you have kind of the tropes of what the characters are like, and they kind of got away from some of that, which was cool. They had one of the like trope female characters in there that was like the perfect female character, and they decided to at one point they just got rid of her. It was just like, that's just not a call that they normally make. So, but yeah, so that's my number 5, my tie for number 5. Number 4 is a long one. At least the title of it's long. Number 4 is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? And this one, I absolutely love. It's goofy, but at the same time, there's a lot of serious parts to it. Like, and the storyline in it is like, I don't even know how to describe this. The storyline in it is like just a lot, really easy to get into for me, partially because it deals with like mythology. Because the whole idea is that there's these familias based around a certain god or goddess. The god or goddess is the head of the familia, and the members of each familia go down into this dungeon and they fight through this dungeon, and it becomes kind of a almost an RPG type thing, where they have actually on their backs they have the god and goddess can go cast a spell on their back, so they can put it on like a piece of paper to show like their level, what level they're at, what their strength's at, and all this stuff, and like any special abilities they have. And so that one's a lot of fun. And the characters are super funny. A few trope characters, so it's a little at times with some characters, but for the most part, it's just really good. That one has 2 seasons, but they're still working on that one as far as I understand it. and so I'm hoping to see more of that one. I tend to like a lot of the goofier, and you'll notice this with my number one especially, I tend to like a lot of the goofier animes, ones that are serious but have goofier sides to them. So you'll actually see that with my number 3 and my number 1. Speaking of which, my number 3 is My Hero Academia. And this is one that they're still making. And so I haven't seen all of it. I actually think I'm a little bit behind on that one. But that one I want to watch with the... I might not watch for a while because I want to watch it with the subtitles, the newer seasons. Simply because I want to know what's going on. I'm okay watching Bleach and Knights of Sidonia, and is it wrong to try to pick up Girls in a Dungeon without subtitles because I've seen it before. As well as ones like Naruto, Fairy Tail. I've seen most of Fairy Tail. I've seen a lot of One Piece. Like, I know what's going on. But with My Hero, I want to watch that new season with the subtitles. My Hero, again, it's just one of those animes that's goofy and just meant to be a lot of fun. This one also I really like because of the characters, the characterization. There's a lot of different characters in this show. There's all sorts of different character types in it, which makes it really cool. You have the doofy kid who like didn't have any powers at the beginning, who's trying to figure everything out, and then you have the kid who's like not necessarily the know-it-all kid, but he's like kind of the try-hard kid. Like, he tries too hard to like be the he ends up being like the class president or something like that, and he's just like tries to be too hard to have like the school spirit. You also have the kid who's just a jerk to pretty much everybody and just wants to be the best, and so he's a jerk to everybody because he wants to be the best. And then you have the kid who's really cool-headed, who just is innately super talented. Like, you have all these different types of characters, along with some other like kind of goofy and other serious characters mixed in. I think that's one of my favorite things about it, is the diversity of the characters. As well as the diversity of their powers, because the whole thing is that I think it says at the beginning like 80 something percent of the population of the planet in this show have powers, or quirks they call them. And just seeing the sheer number of quirks that they've come up with, even just for the characters that they're showing, which I mean is upwards of like 50 characters at the point that I've seen. I'm pretty sure, and it's crazy because like, you know, the one character has like super strength and like kind of super speed. Another one has fire and ice powers. You have this other kid whose power is like explosions. There's another kid who can like I think one of them can throw acid or spits acid or something like that. One of them is essentially a frog. Like, there's all sorts of different powers that they came up with. I mean, it's kind of like Marvel coming up with the X-Men. But yeah, so there's just so much diversity in that. I love that show. Also, the music in that one is really great. Both the theme music and like the music that's in it are really cool. That's another one of the things I like about it. So, number 2 on my list is Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online, I've watched. I think this last time I watched it, when I was watching without the subtitles, I think was my 4th time watching it. Sword Art Online 1 and 2. I guess this is another one I haven't finished because I have not finished the Sword Art Online 3, which is Alicization. Yeah, I've watched a couple episodes of that, but I haven't gotten all the way through it. That one was another one of the first animes with Bleach that I watched, and I absolutely loved it. I love the whole idea of being inside a video game and being able to just have an adventure inside the video game. And then like they add in the very first half of the first season, they throw in the I don't even know how to word that. They throw in the if your character dies, you die for real because of everything that's going on. So that's a lot of fun, kind of a fun part to it. And then they got into the next part, and that was even the second part with Alfheim Online was a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed that. A lot of people didn't like the Alfheim one, and most people really didn't like the Gun Gale one, which was Sword Art Online 2. Was when the main character went to another game called Gun Gale Online. But I liked all of them. It's a fairly unpopular opinion, but I like all of them. They were all so much fun for me to watch. Again, I think it's mostly because like the characters, there's not as much diversity as there was with My Hero. But it's still like there's enough diversity for me to be interested in the characters and for me to take stock in each character. But it's just, I don't know, there's something about it that just I absolutely love, and I can't even fully put my finger on it, on why this is my number 2, but it's just like, I just absolutely love it. This is one of those shows that I can go back, along with my number 1, that I can go back and watch over and over again. Okay, my number 1 pick is Seven Deadly Sins, Nanatsu no Taizai. So I absolutely love this anime. Absolutely love it. The characters are great. Like, a lot of them are super goofy, and they mix the super goofy characters with some super serious characters, and it makes a really cool dynamic. Rather than just having them be their own thing, they like mix them together. And so in some scenes it makes the goofy characters kind of be more serious, and in some scenes it makes it forces the serious characters to be a little more goofy. And it works. The whole thing just works. And I just absolutely love it. I also love how you can tell even from the beginning of the show that Meliodas, who is the leader of the Seven Deadly Sins of Nanatsu no Taizai, you can tell that he is going to be, through the show, is going to be just stupidly overpowered. But there are times that he purposely holds back in order to not appear as strong, and it's just creates a really cool dynamic. And then, like, you know, towards the end of it, if any of you have seen it, you know, spoiler alert, at the end of it, he gets back all or most of his power. I don't remember if he gets back all of it, because you find out that he has locked away pretty much most of his power. He's at a power level at one point, you find out, of like 3,000 something, like high 3,000s, and he gets back his power, and it jumps from 3,800 or something like that, jumps all the way up to, like, I don't even remember how high it was. It was like 50, you know, in the 20, 30, 40,000, something like that. And then especially when they introduce, I do like that because there's the Seven Deadly Sins, and I like that the last one that they introduced, or that they brought into the show, was Escanor, who is like the most powerful outside of Meliodas. He's the most powerful. He actually like wipes out a couple of beings who Meliodas was having trouble with. And it's just like the fact that they waited to introduce, you know, possibly the strongest of the Seven Deadly Sins until the end just made it better, because it made it so they can make the show, you know, tailor the show towards that. But in the fact that they like just kind of slowly introduced each of the Seven Deadly Sins and like each of the characters, and it was just like, I don't know, it's a lot of fun, and I absolutely love watching that show. That's another one that I've watched like 3 times now, so I really like that one. And there are times that I'll just constantly go back and even just watch single episodes. I'll just go back and watch some of them. So, yeah, so anime is a lot of fun overall, and I'm really enjoying using it as a way to learn Japanese, as a way to get exposure to the language, because it's really helping me to be able to hear the sounds better. Like, I'm getting better and better at hearing each individual word, and I'm able to break them apart better. And it makes things like studying the vocab, like in the book, you know, the book I've sitting open here, it makes hearing words like makura, mofu, beddo, it makes hearing those words become a little more normal. And that's kind of the point of doing something like that, is you're trying to make those sounds more normal to your ears. And so, you know, watching anime is a really, really good way of doing that, especially watching animes that you've seen before. Because that's what's helping me with these, is I'm watching anime that I have already watched before. I know the story. I know what's going to happen. I know, in some cases, I know almost exactly what they're saying, because I remember weird things. And so there are times that I remember exactly what they're saying, and so I can pick out almost that whole phrase. I can't generally repeat it back, but I can pick out almost that whole phrase, and I know what it means, because I've already watched it. I've watched it subtitled, or I've watched it dubbed and subbed, like, it's just whatever. But yeah, so those are my picks for my top 5 favorite animes that I've watched. And this list will possibly change over the course of time, because I like anime. I like watching it. And with how much anime there is and how much is still being made, there's just no possible way for this list to just never change, you know? So thank you all for joining me this week. Don't forget to give us a like and comment and subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. And as always, don't forget to thank the Phoenicians.